Okay, I'm live. It is Monday, November 14th, 2022. It is 1:23 p.m. Excuse me. And another item in the news today that's got me just wondering if people are capable of thinking anymore, if they really want to deal with truth, if they even want to hear the truth. I mean, I know a lot of people say they do, both left and right on the political spectrum, but do they really? Now, I know people think I'm crazy because I do want to know the truth. I don't care where it leads, I don't care who it hurts, who it helps. I want to know the truth. I'm willing to seek the truth. I'm willing to talk about it. I'm willing to hear new things, hear new ideas that people are willing to present to me, cause me to think about things, maybe readjust my attitude a little bit. Who knows? But I'm willing to have that discussion. So, in the news today, along that vein, three young black men, football players at the University of Virginia, were murdered by another black man, a football player at UVA, shot and killed on the UVA campus. Now, there's a lot to think about here, a lot to look at. First thing that pops into my head is, well, black on black crime. Once again, three black men, young black men in college, murdered by another black man. Not a white supremacist, not some redneck from out in the county, not some guy waving a Confederate flag and saying, woo, hi, let's go kill us some black folks. No, it was another black man. Now, see, the fact that I'm even pointing that out pisses people off. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to hear it. They would rather I not talk about it. And of course, because I'm white, I can't possibly have anything to contribute to that conversation, can I? Logic be damned. Don't talk about it. You have no right to speak on it. Well, yeah, actually I do, because I'm an American. I'm a citizen of the Commonwealth of Virginia. These things affect me as well as they affect you, because I don't like seeing people murdered. I don't like seeing my fellow Americans and my fellow Virginians killed. Am I supposed to ignore that just because I'm white? Gun-free zone. Find a college campus in this country that is not a gun-free zone. You'll be hard-pressed to find one. And yet, these three young men were murdered with a firearm on a college campus, which is a gun-free zone. How could such a thing happen? Don't those signs mean anything? Don't these criminals, these murderers among us, read these signs? Don't they understand that what they're doing is against the law? But again, we're not supposed to talk about that. Just supposed to ignore it, gloss over it, pretend it didn't happen. We'll talk about something else. The next thing, black on black crime. We're told, and I'm going to post these videos in the comments section so you can see them yourself, because I know especially you liberals out there, you've forgotten about them or you just ignore them. But when I make the comments that I make, and I've made some on some of the local news channels' Facebook pages, and I'm catching all kinds of shit for it, but that's fine. I expected I would. But again, because people aren't willing to stop and think about what I'm saying or the point that I'm trying to make, they just get their emotions all hurt. And so they feel like they have to respond in kind. We're told that the biggest threat to Black Americans is, you ready? What do you think it is? What do you think the politicians and the news media and the talking heads and representatives of BLM and Antifa and other such groups tell us is the biggest threat to Black Americans today. White supremacist terrorism. Now, I'm going to ask you, especially you liberals out there who are still capable of doing some independent thinking or doing some research, find a news story for me in the last, I don't know, let's just go 5 to 10 years, 10 years, in which a white supremacist group went out here and murdered some Black folks. Now, I know there are individuals who have. Certainly we can point to them. There are always going to be stupid people among us who hate other people simply because of the color of their skin or their religion or whatever the case may be. And I don't know that you can ever change that. No law is going to change it. Stupid people are going to be stupid. I mean, I don't know what you think you can do to change that. All you can do is, if and when you catch them, is punish them accordingly. We put down rabid dogs, don't we? But the biggest threat to Black Americans today is white supremacist terrorism. Now, again, you don't have to take my word for it. You can do the research yourself if you're willing to do it. Because once you do it and find out the truth, it's going to conflict with your worldview. It's going to conflict with your political agenda. And that's not going to make a lot of you happy. I understand that. But if you look at the crime statistics in this country, state to state, nationwide, FBI statistics, local police department statistics, state police statistics, look at all of them. More Black people in this country are killed by other Black people than they are by whites or any other race combined. Now, it doesn't give me pleasure to say this. They're still American citizens. They're still being murdered, in many cases for no damn good reason. There's no justifiable reason for any of it. The only reason I can find for killing another human being is in self-defense. You have to be able to protect yourself and your family and your loved ones. Don't you agree? But despite all the political rhetoric, despite all the media talking heads telling us that the biggest threat is white people, it's not white people killing each other or killing Black people. It's just not. You can argue with me all day if you want to. The statistics are going to prove you wrong. And one of the videos I'm going to include, well, actually both of the videos, are Joe Biden telling us that the white supremacist terrorism is the biggest threat to the country. And you can find these videos yourself of the news media, the talking heads, the political activists, et cetera, saying the same thing. White people, white supremacy, systemic racism. That's the problem. And yet, if that were true, if it was white people out here killing Black people every day in record numbers, don't you think the news media would be all over that? I mean, let's just look here in Richmond alone, Richmond, Virginia. Every day we're met with a new murder. All these murders are usually in the Black neighborhoods of Richmond. Not all of them, most of them. There have been a few exceptions. Black on Black crime. I'm sorry if it bothers you. I know you don't want to hear it. You don't want to think about it. But there it is. It's not white people driving in here from Dinwiddie County or Amelia or Powhatan, Confederate flags flying from the back of their pickup truck going, yee-haw, let's go shoot somebody. That's not what's happening. But you want to get mad at me, Mr. and Mrs. Liberal. You want to be angry with me for pointing these things out. Are you as angry with the people committing these murders? Are you as angry with the people who lied to you about this? Are you as angry with the people who put up gun-free zones all over the place only to find that that's where most of the murders occur? I mean, you really need to reevaluate yourself and what makes you angry and what's important to you. Now, throughout all of this, we're told we need to have an open and frank dialogue about race relations in this country. You've heard it, right? Some of you have even said it. We need to have an open and frank dialogue. Let's talk about this. Let's find out what the problem is. Let's get to the root cause of it. Bullshit. You don't care. That's not what you mean at all. What you mean, excuse me, what you mean is as long as you agree with me, we'll have a discussion. As long as you don't say anything that offends me, or as long as you don't say anything that I strongly disagree with, we'll have an open discussion. You don't want that. You don't really want an open discussion, because if you have that open discussion, you're going to learn things that you don't want to learn. You're going to have to think about things that you don't want to think about. What is the root cause? There could be several. Let's look at the fact that most black men who murder other black men grew up in a fatherless home. You think that might have something to do with it? They have no real strong male figure in their life, so they seek that strong male figure on the streets. And we know what that leads to. Let's go back to 1964 and the Great Society under LBJ. Racist that he was. Do you really think he signed that bill into law because he cared about black people? You need to do some research. You need to look into some things. LBJ was no friend of the black man in this country. And that law, the Great Society that he signed, took the black man out of the family, took the black man out of the home, so that single women are now raising most of these kids by themselves with government help. Because if we take the black man, the father, out of the home, who are we going to replace him with? The government. That's right. And the government gets to pull the strings and tell you what you can and can't do. If you want to get that money, you want to get that assistance, you better do what we say. And of course, keep voting for us, because if we're not in office, we can't give you stuff, right? How about, I don't know, the entertainment industry? You ever listen to rap music? I've listened to it enough to know what's going on in it. I don't care for it, but to each his own. How many times do you have to sing songs about bitches and hoes and popping a cap in somebody, driving down the street, blasting up the place? You think that doesn't have an effect? You, Mr. and Mrs. Liberal, who want to tell us that video games and movies and TV shows create violence, and yet you keep producing this stuff. You keep listening to it. You don't do anything to stop it. What do you think, that doesn't have an effect? I mean, look, I play video games. I've played them for a long time now. A lot of them are what they call first-person shooters. But you know what I haven't done? I haven't gone driving down the street shooting people. Now, why do you think that might be? Could it be because I have a conscience? Because I do unto others as I would have done unto me? Because I have empathy for others? I don't want them doing things to me that I'm certainly not going to do to them. I've listened to some music that people would consider violent or angry. I don't go out here and run people over with my car, and I don't murder people. People make me angry pretty much every day, but I don't use that as an excuse to pop a cap in them. So what's the difference? What's causing all this? Do you really want to know? Do you really want to have that conversation? You say you do, but then when somebody says something you don't like or you don't agree with, you label them a racist and you tell them to shut up, and the conversation just shuts down and nothing ever gets solved. And so here we are once again, 3 young black men in college, football players on the UVA football team, murdered. And I'm sure we're going to find out it was for a really good reason too. As the investigation continues and we get into the motive for it, I'm sure it's going to be a really good motive, right? Like as if there is a good motive for murdering people. but you don't want to do anything about it. It's like the people on these news pages I was telling you about. They're going to give me a ration of shit because they don't like what I had to say. Well, it needs to be said. It needs to be pointed out. And what better time than now? Instead of offering up prayers for the families, well, a lot of freaking good that's going to do now, right? Virtue signaling makes you feel good about yourself. Look at me. I put the little prayer symbol on my Facebook page and offered my prayers for the family. Well, that's not going to bring back the dead, guys. And that's not going to prevent any future murders. What will? What will stop this? Would exploring the issue, getting to the root cause, finding out why this continues to happen, and then taking action to prevent it? Do you think that might work better than offering up prayers just so you feel better about yourself? You know, I know it scares you to think. It does. I get it. I understand that. When I was a younger lad, before I actually started engaging my brain in a lot of things, I used to just brush stuff off. You know, it doesn't affect me. I don't care. Moving on. But I pay attention to this stuff. Number one of the reasons I pay attention to it is because as a white American, I'm lumped in with the white supremacists who want to murder black people. Well, you're going to find this hard to believe, I know, but you're just going to have to take my word for it. I've never murdered anybody, white or black or green or blue or any other color. I just haven't. How do you explain that? I'm white. You can see the flags I have in the back. Virginia flag, American flag, Confederate battle flag. That alone, in the eyes of many of you idiots out there, makes me a racist because I dare to display that flag. No thought given to why, no questions asked, no consideration for all the different possibilities of why I might fly that flag. Just, yeah, he's a racist. He's white. Got to be a racist. That's it. No further discussion needed. I'm telling you, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to get better until you, Mr. and Mrs. Liberal, and everybody else out there are willing to have the open and frank dialogue that you say you want. But if you're going to just shut people down as soon as you hear something you don't want to hear, nothing's going to get better. You're just going to continue to use it as a campaign issue every year. You're going to run on it. You're going to fundraise on it. You're going to talk about it. You're going to make it a political issue, but you're not going to do a damn thing to fix it. And until you do take it seriously, and until you do start exploring deeply into the root causes and take action to change things, it's not going to get any better. So either do something about it or shut the hell up.